What to say about Scarlet Nexus in a quick overview? To be honest, there's not much to say from my perspective at least. I was so entranced and enthralled with the game, I forgot to write down a lot of the things that I was thinking. To be honest, so I'm just going off things that come to the top of my head. It's probably gonna be the shortest review I've ever done, quick and long detailed. So I'm just gonna go over some things that I remember. Uh, the quick overview would be probably the combat is pretty good. Now, there are there are some people who think that the combat's repetitive, and I'm like, okay, every game has repetitive combat because in order to not have repetitive combat, you would need thousands of combat animations, which is never going to happen because it's not practical. Now, is it generically repetitive? I would say no, because there's four different playstyles between two different characters. And even then, going into the brain map, which is their talent tree, there's more ways to focus your playstyles. So you can either focus on a brain drive or the brain field. Um, and honestly, there's not much to say about it. Like the combat is fucking great. Like even so, they have these things called brain crushes, right, which are basically finishers. Now, every single unit in that game has a different, unique brain crush, unless it's the same type of monster, and I think that's fucking great. The only thing that's repetitive is the actual basic combo, which can be extended to I think 5 hits instead of 3. And then even then, if you're actually good enough to pull it off, you can chain that into a air combo, which also turns into another 4 or 5 hit combo. And then, like honestly, like to be honest, for an RPG, like the combat's pretty solid. You know, uh, yeah. The story. Now, I initially was annoyed with the story because there were so many gaps that I felt lost halfway through the game. But then once I got near like 75% of the game, I realized that there weren't they were intentional gaps because of how they structured the story overall. So it's kind of hard to explain. So I'm just gonna try and save that for like the longer video. Um, but overall, I think the story was pretty good once you get a hold of it. You know, it's pretty slow to start off, but it's pretty good. Coming from Biomutant, which had a really bad sound design and profile, I would say this is a freaking opposite night and day because Bandai 9 times out of 10 always has like the best sound designs for their games, and this one did not disappoint me. The OST soundtrack was fucking phenomenal. I was bopping to every single fucking song. You know, these are songs that I could listen all day, every day. Um, my only disappointment with the game, really, for the sound design, was the fact that the intro cinematic wasn't as much of a banger as Code Vein and Guided Gear 3 were. It's still a good song, and it's still a good song, but personally, I prefer Guided Gear 3's intro cinematic or Code Vein's. That's the only thing I. It's literally the only thing I have to say negative about it. Now there is one thing that a lot of people were complaining about, which is how the game holds your hand a lot throughout the entirety of the game. Where on situations where you might get stuck or something, the NPCs will be like, "Hey, you should do this. Hey, you should do that. Hey, you should do this. Hey, you haven't used this. Hey, you haven't used my power. Hey, listen." So honestly, I kind of drowned that out after a while because I knew what I was doing, so I wasn't really paying attention to it. But that might annoy some people. So, and the last thing about it would be honestly the visuals. Like the visuals of the game are fucking great. Like it's got like a mix between Silent Hill and Dark Souls mixed with anime, and I dig it. You know, and it's like creepy but cool at the same time. And from the character design to the monster design to the city scenarios, is that the right word, scenarios? And it just looks great. Like honestly, I can't say much more about it without going over my time limit because y'all know I can fucking rant. So to sum up, would I buy it? Yes, because I did not get a review copy and I did not buy it myself. It was actually gifted to me. So the game is $60 USD. Would I buy it? Yes. Is it worth $60? Yes, in my opinion. How long is the game? Around 25 hours or so, and that's with doing 85% of the game content in terms of like, because I didn't do any side quests because I honestly felt like I didn't need to do the side quests and it didn't really affect me at all. So that's pretty much my overview of the game.